Welcome to chapter 4. In this chapter you will learn how to conjugate regular verbs in German. So in this chapter you are going to learn the German conjugation, or as we say, konjugation. Let's have a look at how we conjugate regular verbs. Okay, this chapter is about regular verbs. So the first thing that you need to do before starting conjugating, you need the stem of the verb. Okay, most verbs in German end with an en, and the stem of this verb here, which is lernen, it means to learn. The stem of this verb is lern. You have to take away the ending en. Okay, you take that away. What is left is called stem, and to the stem you add the ending of the conjugation. So let's start with the first one here. So it's ich lerne. It means I learn. Okay, you always, as you see here in bold letters, you have the stem of the verb, and then you add the endings. So let's have a closer look here. So the conjugation is ich lerne, I learn, du lernst, which means you learn, the ending is st. Lernt, which means he learns, as you see here. Sie lernt, she learns. Es lernt, it learns. Wir lernen, we learn. Ihr lernt, you learn. Now, this is the plural form if you talk to a group of people in the informal way. Und sie lernen, it means they learn. Or there is a chapter also about the formal salutation. It would also be the conjugation here if you talk to somebody in a formal way, directly, in the plural and the singular form. So sie lernen means either they learn or it means you learn in the formal way if you talk to one person or to a group of people. Okay, this is how you conjugate regular verbs. Here you have to learn the endings. Okay, the most important thing is that you need the stem. You will need it further on in the German grammar also, that you work with the stem and you add the endings of the conjugation for the past tense, for example, and so on. Okay, let's have a look at the next slide. So here we have the conjugation of regular verbs which have a t, d, m, or n at the end of their stem. And for those verbs you have to add an extra e. It's just for the conjugation and for the pronunciation. It is easier to pronounce the words if you add an e there. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. Here we have the verb reden, which means to talk. As you see, the end of the stem has a d. After we take away the en, we have a red left, and that has a d. So for this, in this case, you have to add an extra e. So let's have a look here. It is ich rede. This is the normal conjugation. You would have to add an e here anyways. But du redest, as you see, you don't just add an st at the end, but you have to add this extra e here. So it's du redest, redet, sie reden, es redet, wir reden. Here you would have to add an e anyways in the normal conjugation. Ihr redet, sie reden. Okay, as you see here, the blue e, this is the extra e that you have to add. Here you have an e anyways. This is for the normal conjugation, no matter whether there is a d or which letter ever there is at the end of the stem, you would have to add an e here anyways. Just the blue e's you see, you have to add them in addition because the stem ends with a d. Then we have another example, antworten. Antworten means to answer. After taking away the en, you have a t at the end of the stem. So it's Antwort. So let's have a look at the conjugation. Ich antworte, du antwortest. Here you see again the blue e's, which you have to add extra. Antwortet, sie antwortet, es antwortet, wir antworten, ihr antwortet und sie antworten. Okay, the next verb that we have here is atmen. Atmen means to breathe. Here we have an m at the end of the stem. So again, you have to add an extra e here. Ich atme, du atmest. Okay, du atmest instead of just saying du atmest. Otherwise, you would have to pronounce it this way, which is very difficult, right? So you say du atmest, atmet, sie atmet, es atmet, wir atmen, ihr atmet und sie atmen. Okay, and the last one here, öffnen, which means to open. It ends with an N at the verb stem. Okay, so again, it's the same rule. You have to add an extra E. So it's ich öffne, du öffnest, öffnet, sie öffnet, es öffnet, wir öffnen, ihr öffnet und sie öffnen. Okay, so if you just try to pronounce it without the E, you will notice how difficult it is. It would be du öffnet oder hier du öffnest or öffnet. Ihr öffnet also, it's a little bit difficult to pronounce. Okay, that's why we add this extra E here. Okay, so this is the rule for T, D, M, or N at the end of the stem of the verb. Then here you have a list with different verbs that have those endings at their stems. Okay, you can study those verbs. They are very good and very important, especially at the A1 level. That are the basics, let's say, that you need. Okay, antworten, to answer, arbeiten, to work, atmen, to breathe, jemandem begegnen, to come across somebody, jemanden beobachten, to observe somebody, bilden, to form. Just before we continue, here is written JDM and here JDN, just not to confuse you. This is just a list. Later on, you will see how important it is that there's written a JDM and JDN, because jemandem, this is the short form of jemandem, which means somebody, but it's in the dative case, which is one of the 4 grammatical cases that we have. Okay, so through that JDM here, you know that this is a dative verb. Later on, you will learn it towards the end of this course. Okay, but you have that already, so you can keep it in mind what that actually is. JDN, this is for the accusative case, which is also another grammatical case. Okay, because depending on the verb that we use, we know which grammatical case to use. Also, that is a kind of a hint for us to find out which grammatical case to use. At the beginning now it might seem a little bit confusing, but you will see later on in the course what that is about here. Okay, so just for you to know, this is for the dative verb, this is an accusative verb. Just for you to know that now already, what's coming up. Okay, bilden, to form, jemanden etwas bitten, to ask someone for something. Here you see it's also an accusative verb. Jemanden finden, to find somebody. Gründen, to found. Then here we have jemanden heiraten, to marry somebody. Mieten means to rent. Öffnen, to open. Rechnen, to calculate. Reden, to talk. Jemanden retten, to save somebody. Trocknen, to dry. Warten, to wait. Und zeichnen, to draw. Okay, please study those verbs. They are very useful for you, because in order to speak, of course, you need the tools and you need to be able to speak. For that, you need a vocabulary. Okay, then let's have a look at another rule that we have, and this rule here is for verbs that have an S, double S, SZ, X, or Z at the end of their stem. Okay, so here we have an example, which is reisen. Reisen means to travel. Okay, so here it has an S at the end of its stem, and in this case we don't add an S for the conjugation of do. Okay, actually you would have to add here in yellow letters, you would have to add st, but here we have an S already, so you just add a T here. Okay, and this counts for all verbs that have an S, double S, SZ, X, or Z at the end of their stem. Okay, this is a very small rule, but it makes a difference in spelling. Germans are very strict about the spelling rules. Okay, so please don't add a double S here. Also, the pronunciation would change. It would be du reist if you had a double S here, but it's just du reist. Okay, so I will just read it to you for the pronunciation so you hear it. Ich reise, du reist, reist, sie reist, es reist, wir reisen, ihr reist und sie reisen. Okay, so this is just, that counts just for the conjugation of du. The rest stays normal, nothing changes here. Okay, then let's have a look at a list of verbs that have those letters at the end of their stem. Okay, we have a few here. Beweisen, to prove. Heißen, to be called or to mean. Heizen, to heat. Mixen, to mix. Reißen, to rip. Reizen, to irritate. Sich setzen, to like setzen alone means to put, or sich setzen here, this is for the reflexive form. Okay, you will learn it throughout the course. Sich setzen, it means to get seated, or to sit oneself down, let's say, if you want to translate it, although it wouldn't make sense in English, but this is for the reflexive form. Okay, sitzen means to sit, or tanzen means to dance. Please also learn these verbs. Okay, so that was the chapter about the conjugation of the regular verbs in German, and please have a look and study the verbs and practice as much as possible the conjugation of those verbs. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Abschnitt.